Welcome to Just Jamacia. Today's topic is kind of sensitive to me, but I felt like I wanted to share it because it's going to help somebody else out there. So my name is Jamacia and I'm an alcoholic. It's the first time I've said that to this many people that are also not alcoholics. Um, yeah, I just wanted to tell you what my process has been like over the last couple years in recovery. So let's get started. So, coming into my, I didn't expect this to be this hard. So, coming into my first year of college, um, I was like a really goody two shoes. Like, I did not drink, I did not party. In high school, I was really involved in church, and my parents were pretty strict. So, it's not like I was getting into a lot of like risky situations. So coming into college, like I felt good when I first got here my first year. I did have some trouble adapting to like the new environment, and maybe within like over the course of my first semester, I just started to feel like very lonely, and that's when I had my first episode of depression in college. So um, I had never been diagnosed before at this point. I started seeing a therapist. I asked my parents to help me see a therapist, and that was actually probably one of the best decisions I made. And this was like 18. I was like 18. And so I made it through my first year of college, and at this point, like I never drank, never smoked anything, never was involved in drugs. Like I said, like I was like a real goody two shoes. So throughout my next couple of years in school, I tried to like I was really shy and really quiet too. So I was trying to find my place in this new space. Um, I was very much trying to find my independence, individuality. So I like started socializing and trying new things. And by my end of my sophomore year, beginning of my junior year, I had like a pretty solid group of people that I was familiar with. I would call them friends. So I remember going into, I guess it would have been the end of my sophomore year. The end of my sophomore year, I won a pageant at my school, and it was sponsored by a fraternity. And the fraternity had a party the night of that pageant, and then the next day or that night was also my 20th birthday. So I never drank before at this point, but then I decided like, you know what, 20 is close enough to 21, I'm gonna have a drink. And it seemed like from the start, like it was never, I'm going to drink to, just get a little buzz, get a little tipsy. Like from the very first time, like I drank to get drunk. Like I drank to get toe up. At this party, and I'm toe up. I had driven myself because at this point, like I had a car and had a license. Um, but I got toe up, so I can't go home. And so there was alcohol and there was marijuana at this specific space. And I remember at one point the cops showed up. And so I'm like, oh snap. First of all, I'm underage, I'm drunk, there's illegal substances here, I cannot get myself home. And I think prior to that, I had been walking around trying to ask like the people I knew in the fraternity, like, can you call me an Uber? But the cops pulled up, and as college students do when the cops pulled up, everybody started leaving. A friend of my friend at the time ended up actually taking me home. So I left my car there, and I was taken home because I was too drunk to drive. Oh my gosh, this is hard. And I was taken home, or taken back to my dorm. Um, so yeah, that was my first time. That was also like that pageant weekend, and then the party, and the first time I drank. It was like also Easter weekend, so I ended up having to like come back the next day, have somebody take me. It was actually my mom. Hi, mom. Um, have to drive me back to get my car, and then I drove my car, and my mom drove her vehicle. Why am I getting emotional? Okay. This, like I said, this was also Easter weekend, so I had invited my mom to come to my church, and I was definitely like, I was hungover during that Easter service. So it just started off bad. So, okay, that's how it started. And so that was the end of my sophomore year. The summer after my sophomore year, I did this summer program where I was working with high schoolers who came to the campus. And then like when we had weekends, we would just like drink on the weekends, and I would always get drunk. Um, like I said, it was never just a, I'm gonna get tipsy, like I always got drunk, like you gotta help me walk home type drunk. And then going into my junior year, I guess the beast had already began to be created. So I also started hanging with a group of people, and I guess when I started hanging with that particular group of friends, friends, um, I don't know, like they were Greek affiliated, so I felt like I had always felt like nobody was like looking at me because I was real quiet, and I'm like kind of to myself. So at this point, like I won this Greek pageant, and now I have friends in like fraternities and sororities. So like I was smelling myself a little bit, to tell you the truth. Um, so I started hanging out with these people, and like I felt like I had a like a community. I felt like people knew who I was at that point. Um, but that also came with heavy drinking and marijuana use, if not on my part, on the people I was around's part. So we kicked it, and it was like a Friday or whatever, and people would be drinking. Mind you, we're all like, I think we're all underage at this point, but we're kicking in as alcohol. I'm drinking alcohol, and I'm getting drunk. And um, my my third year of school and fourth year of school, I kept getting depressed, like seriously depressed, back to back to back. And it started affecting my schoolwork. Um, and I would get like majorly depressed. And then I started doing things like I'm going out and hanging out with this crowd, and we're going to parties and stuff, and getting toe up. But then like I'm still sad afterwards. And I think a large part of it was that I wanted to just like feel important. I wanted to feel understood. I wanted to feel like somebody was checking for me. And so this went on for a couple years, and it went from not great, from not good to just worse, really bad. I ended up falling out with this group of friends, and that was a whole issue. And like I said, at that point, I was validated by the people. I felt validated by the people around me. So when that happens, I like, well, everybody hates me now. I have very low self-esteem. And then there was a point where I kind of came to terms with those losses of that friendship, of those friends. But then I just started like looking for validation in other places. Like I would still be drinking on and off, and then like I started like I lost my virginity at some point in there, and so I would seek a lot of male attention, um, a lot of hookups, a lot of sex and a lot of alcohol. I guess some of my worst points were, I remember that there was a point where I had just like a really bad day. Like my grades were like trash at this point. I had fallen out with my family. Ugh. And I'm like distressed. And at this point, like I had no emotional coping skills. My emotional coping skills were to lay in bed and to be on social media, to be codependent on my friends because, like I said, that's how I felt validated. And what's my other? Oh yeah, to have sex. Um, so at one point, like I'm stressed about my grades, I'm stressed about my family, I'm stressed because like my mental health is trash, I'm always anxious, I'm always depressed. And my friend had like this leftover bottle of, I think it was like green apple, sour green apple vodka or something like that. It didn't even taste good, but I like finished that bottle. Like he might have had like 2, 3 shots. I drank that bottle. Um, there was a point where I had sangria in a water bottle and I was taking it. I would visit my friend worked for campus housing, so I took it and visited her and was drinking it when I was visiting her, and I had class and I took the bottle to class. Why did I think that bringing alcohol to class was a good idea? I don't know. I just knew that we had a quiz that day. I didn't do that great on it. It was very hard for me. I worked with kids in a before school program at one point. Definitely drove to work hungover. And then another thing is like I was always late. Always late. I could not get to class on time, could not get to work on time. For some reason when I was drinking, I was like the worst with time management. So long story short, that continued. It didn't work. The trying to fill the void didn't work. And there was like a point, there were a couple of points where I was like suicidal, like my depression led to that. And then I think like maybe the third time, I think this was 2019, like winter 2019. So I'm in school, my grades are trash, and I failed a class, and I had to stay an extra year because that class was needed for my major. And I failed it in spring 19, no, spring 18. And then I couldn't take it again until spring 19. So, and I think I'd also lost my scholarship at that point. So, this particular winter, I'm depressed again. This is like the 3rd or 4th time I'm in college and I'm having a depressive episode. And they would last like 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months at a time. So, I was seeing a therapist, thankfully, and she told me about pretty much that outpatient was an option for me. So I ended up over that winter break going into this outpatient program for dual diagnoses for mental health and substance use. And so I'm 21, I'm a college student, I'm super green, and I'm in this room with people like, some of them are like married with kids and like grown in their 30s, 40s, or 50s probably. But my little young behind was there and we had the same issues. And so that's where I learned how to really become emotionally vulnerable, learn to talk about my issues, because I suppress my emotions all the time. Like, I guess like I thought as long as you look good on the outside, you don't gotta talk about what's going on the inside. Just make sure you look presentable on the outside. So I wore a good face to the public. But I had to talk about some emotion. I talked about like these hookups and not feeling enough. I talked about a pregnancy scare. I talked about, just like, I'm not even going to go into it. But anyway, that was very important to me and it helped me. And this outpatient program also introduced me to the 12-step program that I'm a part of today. Um, yeah, so after I finished the outpatient program, it was 30 days, I started doing this 12-step program, and I did it for maybe, I think the first time I got sober, I did it for 9 months, and then I relapsed. And then I started over, and I'm at 6 months now. Like I said, this is a 12-step program, and I'm about to go to step 11. So what's different now is I can get to places on time. I get to places early now. My life is more organized. I did end up getting my scholarship back, and I just finished the coursework for my degree, so I'm getting a bachelor's in social work. I have a healthier relationship with my parents. I have healthy relationships with people. I'm starting to heal some of that codependent behavior, and I get depressed less often and it's less severe. Building a relationship with God, finding ways to ground myself and deal with discomfort, apart from having to turn to outside things. It's been pivotal, to tell you the truth. And life is not perfect today. I still make mistakes. I still have hiccups, but like, I'm learning how to manage it. And I'm getting there. I'm making progress. So that's just how it worked for me. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you the name of this particular program that I'm involved in, even though you could probably tell at this point. But if you have questions about addiction, substance abuse, trauma, things like that, like, this is a major part of why I'm so passionate about social work and mental health, because I live it. I live it. And I only told y'all part of the story, but I hope that it was helpful. This is really hard, but I hope that it was helpful, and I'll see y'all next time.